Yeah, good afternoon, good morning, and good evening, everyone across the world. I want to take this opportunity to appreciate everyone who might have had time to join this program. But this is a new beginning for me, uh, and for all of us who will be drawing insight from this discussion going forward. So, because today is a special hour for us, I'd like us to just have a moment of prayer. God Almighty, we bless your holy name for this prompting and for this message. We thank you because we know that you are going to do wonders, educate us, and show us insight as we have this discussion together. We ask that you take absolute control and guide our thoughts and take, so that at the end of the day you will take all the glory. Thank you, Heavenly Father. In Jesus' mighty name we have prayed. Amen. So, I've been going through a whole lot in my mind as things have been happening and going on and on in Nigeria, and I couldn't hold myself anymore but to try to create this kind of platform where we can be able to share our thoughts. I've not getting used to the interface of this live Facebook program, so I'll just take time to just go straight to a few of the points and what we intend to be able to achieve with this kind of interaction. First, every Nigerian knows that things are not working in Nigeria, and that's not up for debate. The only thing that is up for debate is what we believe that could be the solution. What I believe that could be the solution is different from what others or some other person believe that could be the solution. But the truth of the whole matter is that it is a fundamental truth that we all can agree that all is not well. All is not well in the north, all is not well in the south, and we cannot argue that. So since we cannot argue that, that becomes one thing that makes this kind of forum very essential for us to be able to have time to discuss. But a couple of things I would like us to focus on and will be one critical thing that has always been prompt up in my mind as we try to engage ourselves as this issue of the state of Nigeria is concerned, and that has always been a fundamental reaction from people who who are in the country and those that are outside of the country. That's one. One other thing again I would like us to also look at is which is what we are going to discuss in detail in our next point of discussion, which is I believe that Nigeria, everybody in Nigeria today will benefit if the country is divided. That's what I believe. It's a personal opinion, but I want to throw it out there and kind of have like a feedback from people if you believe that Nigeria is better together, and why you think that Nigeria is not better together. First, life personally and career-wise and all of that, as I have been able to create a relationship with diverse people from Nigeria, and I can tell you that on individual note, every Nigerian is a gift to the world. Whether you are coming from the north, you are coming from the east, you are coming from the west, everywhere we come from, Nigerians are a blessing to the world. We take time to look into issues, and we are this kind of we have this kind of resilient spirit that distinguishes us from our peers everywhere we find ourselves in the world. But as we engage in the issues of Nigeria, most time things can heat up so much that the first thing you kind of see people react to is to attack the messenger and not the message. And that's one of the first things I would like to just talk about in few minutes, and we can have other thoughts as I try to put myself together. First of this is just for me to be able to introduce and say, hey friends, this is not the time for any Nigerian to keep quiet. I have a whole lot of friends who have decided to keep quiet in these issues, because when you want to engage anybody, you have to try to find the middle point between passing your message and trying to be politically corrected. And that's always been the problem. Every Nigerian wants to just try to be politically corrected, and when you try to do that, you lose the message you actually want to share. Of course, again, it doesn't also mean that at the time that you want to actually pass your message, you have to ensure that you follow formal ethical way of communicating so that you can actually pass your message across. So that said, it also means that because this has become the issue for all of us, any Nigerian that is actually keeping quiet at this time with what is actually going on, with the governance of what we have in Nigeria today, with where we are coming from 1960 to now, keeping quiet is never an option anymore. But the basic and the fundamental thing I would start with is my conviction that Nigeria is better. Every Nigerian will have it better if we are discussing the issue of dividing the country, and if we can look at it objectively. Everybody that has discussed the issue of talking about Nigeria and the possibility of dividing the country in whichever way we want to be able to talk about it, when we begin to look at it objectively and being very open-minded to the issues that are being discussed, then we can begin to now look into our strength of what we can actually have if we decide to be together, or if we decide to actually go our separate ways. Dividing Nigeria doesn't change the fundamental truth that we are all Africans, and that's the first thing that has to be in the mind of all Nigerians. What do we have to lose if the country divides, and what do we have to lose if the country be together? I think the first answer that is open to everyone today is that what have we had to gain since the country has been together? That's the question everybody needs to answer. What have you gained? We've had a country that have passed through even civil war and diverse issues and all of that. Are we convinced as an average Nigerian that there is hope for the country? If yes, do you think that people who should and have and are in positions to do things about that same glimpse of hope that you have are actually willing, available, well committed, and determined to actually do those things? These are big question marks that I would like everyone to try to put this in our mind and begin to ask questions. Today is actually a day for us to raise so much questions, and as we go forward, we will take time to go into each of those questions and then try to engage ourselves in trying to answer them. If we want to divide, which becomes the other option, who and what will anybody lose? Why are we afraid to discuss the issue of dividing Nigeria? Why do we even feel that that is not an option? If you feel that that is not an option, why do you think so? And if you feel that is not an option and you have your reason, then which other reason do you think in the present day Nigeria today that we should actually continue this same kind of arrangement that we have? Many have come up with different meaning of restructure, which of course again I've mentioned over time in some of my posts on Facebook, that look, restructure has not been it's not something new. It's something that has been discussed over time, but the problem has always been that what do we actually mean by restructure? I mean, because we are discussing it right now, everybody is saying, oh, what do you mean by restructure? What is the scope? I think anytime anybody talks about restructure and what do you mean by restructure, what they are talking about is that if you want to restructure the country, what scope do you want to how deep and how wide do you want the restructure to go? That is the big picture. So because today is a day of questions and raising questions and raising questions and raising questions, it's critical that we have all these things in our mind and we begin to now discuss and think about them. Be very open-minded to these issues, and this is actually what would help us to be able to get to a point where we begin to discuss the solutions to our problem. As an average Nigerian or average person who have discussed Nigerian issue will tell you, every Nigerian seems to have the solution to our problem, but the people who are supposed to know or implement those solutions are not willing. Now, that's a case in point is just yesterday when people who are discussing or trying to bear their mind in a standard civilized way of people saying or expressing themselves through protest. What did our government do? They sent out army, police with tear gas, gun, whatever you can think of, all to try to silence the people, all to actually to try to subdue the people. Democracy, they say, is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Do we actually have democracy in Nigeria? That's another question. If we are willing to talk about democracy in Nigeria, what document is the foundation of this democracy? Different, diverse questions. But the bottom line, we have to come into the consciousness as somebody who God has raised from this same space, to begin to ask ourselves, whether big or small, whether old or young, wherever we find ourselves, we need to begin to open our mind and say, what can we do? What is the way forward? I mean, keeping quiet, saying it is not my business. It is the business of everybody right now, because economically everybody is stranded, everybody is struggling. A few of them, a few person that will feel that they are actually doing so well, are also, bearing the brunt. Every day the buying power of naira reduces. That is, each day you become poorer on the average as a Nigerian. If your wealth is all in naira, you become poor every day. Has our future been mortgaged by the excessive loan that they are being packed for the future generation? Is that the way forward? What have we been able to achieve all over these years? These are the big pictures. These are the big questions that needs to be answered. We are going to be taking time to discuss all of this in the State of the Nation, and we are going to try to be as open as possible and ensure that we get feedback from everyone, and educate ourselves on the need for everyone to get involved in what we are doing, and ensure that to be straightforward with all of us, all is not well with our country. All is not well with our country. And we need to drop this garment of not caring or being very economical with the truth. We need to look each other in the eyes and tell each other the truth, the gospel truth. We need to be able to, be as open as possible. If you are not worried of what is coming, if you are not worried of what is going on, it means that you have not been paying attention. And if you are worried and you are not thinking about what the solution can be, what part can we all play, what we can actually do together to make sure that we have a solution. If dividing the country is the solution, why do you think that is not the path we should take? Why do you stand against that same path that could be the solution to the problems that we are having? I've stayed in the north for so long. Structurally, I have been exposed to different diverse culture in Nigeria, and I can tell you, the problem of this nation has gone beyond. It's like a marriage that have not worked for 50 years, 60 years, going into 70 years. And this takes two. Marriage is for two people who are willing. There are a group of people who are willing to look at the issues and are willing to compromise, are willing to dialogue, are willing to come to the table, are willing to look at these issues critically and be very open-minded. Unfortunately, when you look at the strata of the country, nobody is willing to come to the table. Nobody is willing to discuss the issue. And funny enough, a couple of persons who are currently leading us right now, you begin to wonder if you would use my own word of cluelessness as the definition for the governance uh, for the country today, or you look at it as a deliberate action, focus towards a particular vision. Because when people are finding it very difficult to follow what is common sense, you begin to wonder, oh, this is just a roadmap. People are just following through, like just a work plan. Just a work plan. Just a work plan that people are implementing step by step of what they envision for the country. If this is what the country should be, then you and I will understand that this is not the country you want to call your own. Unfortunately, it is you and I, the ordinary persons, whether I am Igbo, Yoruba, Hausa, Ishekiri, Fulani, or whatever tribe that we might come from, the ordinary people still remains those people who continue to bear the brunt of this same misleadership. A leadership without vision, a leadership that does not understand what ingredient and approach, a leadership trait that foster cohesion, that foster unity, that unity of purpose. We lost it. Not now. At this time, you ask yourself, what is wrong? What is wrong? What can we do differently? You can't even think right because you are thinking about how to get a food to your table. Is it not when you have solved your basic need of feeding and shelter that you begin to discuss other things? And the structure remains a critical thing that ensures that you are kept fighting for these same little things that makes it very difficult for you to even think of the bigger picture. And these guys, they know this. Immediately they want to get into you, they just select a few within that same group where you and I fall in. Then they try to give them peanuts, and then they fix them on us, and then we begin to fight each other at that same level. Why they continue to do things in their own way? I think they know that this generation is taking time to reevaluate most of these things, and they are actually coming into terms of the reality on ground. To be very, very clear, I really want to appreciate this generation, even when I know that we have series of issues that we need to get ourselves off, because a man that is held down cannot do anything different from trying to survive from that same shackles that holds him down. We need to come out from that shells of survivor and begin to demand for what is going to make the difference, not for us, but for the next generation. And we have all it takes. I can tell you, an average Nigerian have what it takes to get things moving. So like I said, I don't want to miss word. I believe that we are better divided than united. And it has taken me so long to get to this point. And I encourage everybody, take your time. There's no need of arguing with anyone. Take your time to dig deep, research, read, look at the body language, look at the non-verbal and verbal communication language, look at the average politician in Nigeria and ask yourself, can this work? What Nigeria needs is a new beginning, and the new beginning cannot happen when people don't want to sit on the table. We need to start afresh. We need to think like today is the day we are beginning afresh. And I want everyone to understand what is holding us together today, that is called the oil. If we remove it today, we will still all survive. And that's why I believe that every part of this country would have a new sense of beginning, a fresh idea of leadership, if we divide. Because the set of people who are bent on holding us together as one nation are the set of people who are currently benefiting from the current structure that we have today. And I can tell you, immediately you begin to talk about everything changing, then you see them scrambling for their lives. You see them fighting and ensuring that everything that you are talking about, nothing holds. That's the point. They ensure that nothing holds. Because if it holds and if things change, then it will become, we place them where they are supposed to be. So again, I say to everyone, today, like I said, is the day of creating this consciousness in our mind, so that we can be able to understand that we have gotten to the point where everybody, keeping quiet is not an option. Not discussing our issue and our problem is not an option. Not making your voice heard is not an option. Life, history would remember only those who ensure that they contributed their voice to the current issue that we have. In closing, I want to address just one critical issue. Like I said in the beginning, the most reaction you usually get when national issues are discussed like this, the chances of people addressing the real issue that you have raised and attacking you personally, the probability of them attacking you personally is 95%, as compared to them discussing the issue that you have raised. And one of the approach or the response you usually get for people who are in Nigeria and people that are in diaspora, every Nigerian that has left the country today, each time you want to contribute or you want to add your voice to the issue of Nigeria, the first reaction you are going to get is, you are saying this because you are not in the country. Or if you feel like you want to contribute, please come back home and come and contribute. As if you leave the country, it makes you a less Nigerian than the Nigerians that are inside the country. Everybody from this same space, I'm using Nigerian in quote. Of course, again, everybody knows where I stand. being outside of the country and being inside of the country doesn't make any of this same group of persons less of Nigerian than the other person. In fact, every Nigerian that has left the shores of the country today bears so much burden because you have full responsibility in the standard African setting to care and provide for people you have left behind. All of us who have left or who are planning to leave are not leaving because where they are going they are sure that it's better, or those that are outside of the country it is better for them where they are, or they will not want to be back home. No. It is all a process of surviving. It's a process of wealth creation, and we have to be able to respect people's opinion whether they are inside the country or not. Here I'm going to be ending this. I like to get your feedback, and I really appreciate those of us who have taken time to be with me in this hour, and I really appreciate all of us. I believe that the solution to our country is just right there in our face, and I believe that we are going to have a better place to call home for the next generation. I know that I've seen the future, and I can tell you that it's bright, and I can tell you that the best thing for us is for us to begin to put all the cards on the table and begin to discuss all the issues without an exception, without anything that we say, oh, this is not an option that we want to discuss. Put all the cards on the table and let's see how we can be able to reach a consensus that works for everyone. Is the national document we call Constitution should be the right document for us? If it is not, what do we do about it? Do we have a set of people who are currently in the National Assembly trying to merry-go-round the same cycle? What do we have to do about all of this? These are big questions that I will leave you with, and we are going to be more structured in our next meeting as we discuss the state of the nation. Thank you, and God bless you.
Weeks.